and move forward with it into their daily life.
Wow.
Yeah. So when we are looking at, and I tend to want to, or I've started to kind of want to move my practice into more working with dancers and athletes and people like that who have repetitive use injuries and performance anxiety. But I keep getting pulled back. So I'm about to start working with crime victims who suffer from trauma.
Wow.
And yeah. And so it's kind of funny when you think about how you think you want to do one thing, but then other things keep pulling you back. And so who knows? I just moved here a few months ago, so opportunities are kind of floating around in that way. And I work with people online because I move around a lot. I want to have my own online practice still going. So I've kind of kept that as something that I do. But I would say generally I tend to work with people who have persistent pain. People call it chronic pain.
Yeah.
I like to call it persistent. Persistence, kind of the new, let's not make, chronic sounds so final, like you can't do anything about it. Persistence just kind of like, it's just nagging me,
yeah,
but I can push it. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I had a time in my life where getting out of bed was really more than I could do. And I suffered so much and I had so many awful days. And every now and then I would have a good day. And then when I would have a good day, I would do too much because I needed to do things.
Yeah.
And then I would suffer from it. And so for me to have the life I have now it's huge.
That's amazing.
And I owe it to yoga. I mean, also some psychotherapy that kind of helped me manage this I'm living in pain all the time. I don't even know if I want to do that anymore. So I won't say it was all yoga, but yoga was the thing that helped me manage my anxiety the best.
Wow.
And move out of that. Because I feel like for me, the fibromyalgia was anxiety based.
Huh.
There's always being in that sympathetic nervous system state, that fight or flight.
Yeah.
If you can imagine, if you're always like this, that wears out your muscles.
Huh.
So, and your bodily function, you've got cortisol running all through your body, like, it's, it's on a marathon or something. And then of course your body's going to wear out. All of your functions are going to wear out when you're in that state constantly. So for me, the yoga really helped me. I mean, it was crucial in getting control of that anxiety.
Wow.
And yeah, so then I started to kind of notice, oh, I'm having more good days. And then one day I kind of woke up and I was like, wow.
That's great.
I'm having more good days than bad days. Is it the yoga? I think it's the yoga. You guys, I think it's the yoga. And a lot of people kind of think you're crazy or you're woo-woo, but now there's so much scientific evidence showing the benefits, and there's more and more every day. And I wrote a couple of studies that I will implement using yoga therapy for dancers. And I actually presented these studies at one in Maryland at the university where I went to school, and one at the Network Yoga Conference in Amsterdam. And I got a lot of interest and I got a lot of great feedback on that. So my next step is to actually conduct those research studies so that I can be part of that conversation where we're showing how this works.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then for women who are just starting yoga or starting to practice, do you have ideas or suggestions?
Yes.
Yes, tell us.
Yes, I do.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Yoga isn't one thing. So when a doctor tells a heart patient to go to yoga, which is beautiful, I love that doctors are telling people to go to yoga, but that heart patient walks into a hot power class where it's 97 degrees, that's not the best situation for them. So my first advice is do a little research, find out, or send me a message and I can tell you, I can help you. Find out what kind of yoga class is being offered. And for most people, I would say you would want to start with maybe a restorative class or something gentle. The biggest thing isn't what kind of class you go to, though. It's how you go in that class. So when you go to a yoga class, remember, it's your body. That teacher does not know you. That teacher does not know your body. So if you go to move into a posture and it doesn't feel right for you, then the first thing I would say is ask yourself, is this sensation or is this pain? Know the difference. Is this sensation? Is this something I haven't felt before, or does this hurt? And then don't do it if it hurts. A good yoga teacher won't push you to do something that hurts. A good yoga teacher will understand that you're listening to your body. The other thing is, I would caution people to stay away from hands-on adjustments. So when you go to a yoga class, if they say, do you want to be touched? Do you want to be adjusted? Until you kind of feel like you have a relationship with that teacher and you feel confident, I would say no. Because like for me, I have arthritis in my SI joint from many years of dancing and practicing yoga in a way that I thought alignment was the most important thing. And so if I'm in a warrior one and I have my back heel up because that's what feels better for my hip, and someone comes and pushes my heel down or moves my hips, they could really injure me at worst, or just cause me to be in pain for a couple of days. So I would encourage people to have agency. When you go to a yoga class, you're the boss of your body and you know it best. Now, you don't know yoga, so yes, some of the things that they say you're going to want to listen to and do what they're asking you to do. But you want to really be kind of shrewd about how something feels in your body. I think that's the biggest question. How does this feel in my body? Right?
Yeah.
And then I'd start with a gentle or restorative yoga so that you can kind of get an idea of what you're getting into. And don't be afraid to not go back. I mean, you can try different places until you find that teacher that resonates with you, because it is a relationship and there's connection that happens. And or until you find that class that it feels right. You feel good when you go in, you feel good when you leave, you don't feel defeated. The languaging is important. When a teacher, if someone says always or never, you know, that always is not always the best thing to say, right? So for some people, having their knees facing straight forward in a chair pose is fine. But for people whose bodies naturally kind of turn out and their bones are made that way, putting their knees straight forward puts them in a place where biomechanically their body isn't doing the right thing for them. So find the most gentle restorative you can find for the first time, and then listen to your body. Those are my two biggest things. I could go on and on.
Very much. Yeah.
But I'll stop with that.
What's your daily routine? Can I ask, like, what do you do daily and regularly to practice both, like with your yoga and yoga therapy?
Sure. So for me, every day I practice gratitude, and I have my little sign here. And this is, I look at this every day coming in and out of my house. And what I do is I light some incense because I like the way it smells. And I have different ones for different moods. I have citronella when I'm on kind of an uplift, and sandalwood when I'm feeling like I really need to be grounded. I light the incense and I say 3 things that I'm grateful for every day. And sometimes it is something silly, like I found these gluten-free seed kind of cracker things at Trader Joe's. And one day that was one of my things I was grateful for, because I like that crunchy kind of thing. They don't have a lot of sugar. And, you know, a lot of times it's my house. A lot of times it's my husband or my daughter or my dogs or this blanket that I like. It doesn't have to be so serious. Life doesn't have to be so serious. And so one day my gratitude was for myself. Like, I'm grateful for me. So, and I just read a study recently that if you practice gratitude for 21 days, it can change the makeup of your brain as far as depression goes.
Wow.
And I believe that because I've battled depression and anxiety for the majority of my life. And so for me, I know that it works. And when I'm feeling a little pity party coming on or something like that, I'll pop in a little extra. I'll say, you know what? This traffic sucks, but I'm grateful that I get to go to this place to do this thing. And I had to practice that one a lot when I was in DC because
that traffic is terrible.
It was so awful. But literally one day I was sitting in this traffic and I just said, I'm so grateful that I get to go to downtown DC, drive by these monuments on my way to work. So here I am. Cool. You know, it is fine. And I was teaching a yoga class at the Academy of Integrative Health Medicine conference recently in DC. And so I was teaching 3 different mornings, and we were in there and we were just about to start the practice. And of course the leaf blower guy came with his battery or his gas leaf blower right outside the windows. And he was there pretty much the majority of the class.
No.
And in our meditation, I said, we're finding gratitude. And I said, we're finding gratitude for this beautiful space that's so well taken care of and well maintained. And afterwards, someone said, wow, you really handled that so beautifully. Because it did change. It changed from agitation to, yeah, they're taking care of this place. So I can now let that go and tune back into my own self. Yeah. And so it does make a difference. And it seems kind of easier said than done. And I will tell you, when I was in the throes of depression and all of the awful space that I was in, when someone said, oh, just think positive, that was the worst thing I could have possibly heard. Because, you know, they're just like, oh, just be happy. And it's not that easy. And when you're in that space, finding a good therapist, finding a good yoga therapist, finding the people who can lift you up kind of without that judgment is key. But there is scientific evidence that shows that when you think that way, when you focus on what's good and going right, which is what a gratitude practice is, then it does actually change the chemical makeup of your brain.
21 days. I'm doing that today.
Do it. I'm thinking about doing an online gratitude challenge.
Wow.
So I'll let you know if I decide to do it. I'm
kind of thinking
about it. Yeah. I was thinking I could do a 21-day gratitude challenge and see kind of how that helps people, because I know for me it's huge. Now, as far as other aspects of yoga, I do practice physical asanas. And sometimes I posted a video on my Instagram, I think it was, where I had gotten up and I was in my sweatpants, my hair was dirty and no makeup. And I just thought, I'm going to record this. And so I recorded my practice. It was 10 minutes of basically me kind of wallowing around on my mat, not really doing much. But that's yoga. Yoga doesn't have to be an hour class 3 times a week at a studio. Sometimes getting up and just moving your shoulders back and down and taking 5 deep breaths, sometimes that's my practice. Sometimes I go and I take classes because I enjoy doing that. Sometimes I just do what I want at home, what my body's asking for, because again, I know my body better than someone else does. So it varies. Sometimes my yoga is sitting with a glass of hot tea and just looking at the palm trees and just being, and not really finding judgment or any real thoughts about anything except for I'm here. And so for me, I'm not one of those people who gets up and does an hour and a half yoga practice every day. I do my gratitude every day. I do my breath work every day. So I'll do 5 deep breaths in bed before I even get up. And that just sets the tone and helps me kind of get in that parasympathetic state of being relaxed. And then I don't feel that stress of the day coming as I'm waking up. So that's kind of what my yoga practice looks like. I do the physical practice, but I do a lot of self-study, which is Svadhyaya. It's fun.
Oh.
So that is, I think, the biggest thing over the past couple of years. The Svadhyaya, the self-study, has been the most important thing for me. And it's that kind of what makes me tick. What do I find meaning and purpose in? And it's ongoing. I don't know if I'll ever be done with that. I don't know if I'll ever be done growing and learning and kind of finding what my dharma is. But
And I think that's being human, right? Just continuing to learn and acquire knowledge and keep going.
Right. I feel like it's when we think we've arrived is when we should worry. And that's when you should worry. If you think, it's like the people on Survivor, when they think they're in power, blindside. Hashtag blindside. Yeah, I think that's life, though. Pretty much when you kind of get on your high horse and think, oh, I've got it all figured out, then life comes up and goes, nope.
Yeah.
That's where some of these tenets of yoga, the Svadhyaya, the self-study, what's important to me, and what's important to me now in my life isn't the same as what it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 20 years ago. So, we go through these stages, and it's important for us to grow with ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I just have one more question for you.
Okay.
If a woman were to come up to you and ask for a piece of advice, and you just had like a minute to give her your best tip, not really anything, what would it be?
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and know that this is what it is now. This is a mantra that I use all the time with clients, and I use it for myself. This is what it is now. When I can take a big breath in, this is what it is now, and kind of just let go, then it does 2 different things. If you're in a bad state and things aren't going well, it lets you know that this is temporary. This is what it is now. And if things are going great and your life is perfect, it helps you appreciate that. This is what it is now. And so I think that's what I would say, is just breathe and realize that this is what it is now.
That's awesome. I'm definitely going to take that away with me.
Yeah, it's my favorite mantra for especially, well, really anyone, but especially with someone who has anxiety and depression, or someone who's really struggling with, tons of things that keep hitting. It's just really beneficial.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we end today?
I don't know. I think I would just add that I hope that everyone who's listening can really take time to take care of themselves. And I know that self-care is a really big buzzword right now, and there's a lot of privilege around that sometimes. When someone says, oh, just take, this time for self-care, or go do this for self-care. Well, not everyone has the money or the time. So think of self-care in other terms as, those deep breaths. Yeah, maybe I'm in that shower and I'm just taking that time to kind of appreciate myself. And I think, self-care is a hard one, but I would say take every opportunity you can to do everything in your power to take care of yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So
that's awesome. Thank you so much, Pamela.
Yeah, you're better to those around you if you're taking care of yourself, even though it may feel like you're taking time away from that.
So true.
Yeah.
And for everyone listening, you can learn more about Pamela and what she's up to on her website, www.craneyogatherapy.com, and Crane, CRANE.
Right. Yeah. And when you go there, it'll look a little different because I've kind of adapted it for this dancers and athletes, but I still do work with people with all kinds of physical conditions. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at Crane Yoga Therapy, Crane like the bird, CRANE.
Perfect.
So, hope to reach out if you have any questions. If there's anything I said that you disagree with or you'd like to know more about, feel free to reach out to me and let me know.
Thank you so much for being on, Pamela.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. I'm just going to turn off the recording really fast.